Hello, I'm Wendy Vogel, and this is the Poetics, readings of contemporary works by emerging poets from around the world, brought to you by Sweetycat Press. Today's episode is co-sponsored by Christine Tabaka. Our first poem today is Our Poetry by Amber M. Simpson. Our poetry was originally published in Organic Ink, Volume 2 by Dragon Soul Press. His breath swirls and ripples, glides over my skin. Words fall from his lips that slowly sink in. My body, the paper on which he will write, his mouth full of ink, dripping black in the night. He pours it on softly. It thickens and stains, spreads like a fire, courses heat through my veins. He kisses my temple and whispers sincere, fills me with words I've been longing to hear. I breathe in his breath as I take in his gaze. I want this inside me for all my days. This is the way every night should be, full of his breath and our poetry. That was Our Poetry by Amber M. Simpson. Next we have About Face by Copper Rose. About Face was previously published in The World of Myth, issue 77, October 2019. A band of determined villagers on the night of Halloween struck out for the biggest pumpkin patch their eyes had ever seen. With daggers and with lancets gleaming in the moon's bright light, the villagers tiptoed silently with no witnesses in sight. Within minutes they had cut the tops off every head, spilled the guts upon the ground, left them all for dead. The carnage in the pumpkin patch resembled a third world war. Something, it was whispered, folks had never seen before. Chopped and hacked, with pieces strewn about the dying vines, sent a message loud and clear by the evidence left behind. Grimaces carved in lieu of mouths. Triangles replaced their eyes. Never trust those pumpkins if they have access to sharp knives. That was About Face by Copper Rose. Our next poem is When He Visits by Nancy Lou Henderson. Writing, then feeling you touch my hair, pausing, and knowing I have some time to spare. Remembering, then picturing, I see your dimples and smile, wanting and praying you can stay for a while. Touching, then comforting, you bring me your love, thanking and loving, God sent you from above. Lingering, then leaving, to heaven you must go, understanding and saying I love you so. Smiling, then typing, you have now empowered me, finishing, then reading the book our story will be. That was When He Visits by Nancy Lou Henderson. Next we have Winter's Dead Hostas by Kathy Mackenzie. Winter's Dead Hostas was previously published by Lichen Valley Press. I wrench the dead from thawed ground to allow blooms to emerge, yanking hollow stalks, snapping thicknesses in two, bending spongy ones. I pile parchment-like meshes of leaves, once molded tight beneath the snow, bittersweet and moist, but now ready to go, life ending, as it does every spring. The blood seeps, and I try to quash it, as I've tried to stop the flow before. Pale stalks lay in piles, wartime bodies waiting for burial. I gather the dead in my arms and enter the woods, where I gently lay them upon nettles and dried leaves to find life again after they fragment and disappear into the soil, melding into earth from whence they came. I caress those fallen timbers, limbs that stained my hands bright red, while I mourn another year gone, time lost forever, never to be recaptured. Our bodies lay like those old stalks when we are laid to rest. We disintegrate too, and families mourn while we return from whence we came. That was Winter's Dead Hostas by Kathy Mackenzie. Our final poem today is Requiem for the Ghost of Salem by Bruce Rowe. In times past told, of stories old, dark creatures walked the earth, when strife and greed on mounted steeds gave life to an evil curse. False accusations from close relations left them swinging by a rope. But now, in the hollow, the dead will swallow, leaving the accusers without a stitch of hope. For if hell is real, they will hear the shrill rising from the graves, to exact revenge with bodies scarred and singed for the injustice that was made. They will twist their minds for all the crimes until their sanity is no more, but leave the bodies intact, stretched out on the rack, then drift back into the moors, to their earthen homes of tomes and bones. In peace they now will dwell, for while they were here, their names were smeared. For Salem's ghosts, there is no hell. That was Requiem for the Ghost of Salem by Bruce Rowe. And that's all for this episode of the Poetics. Thanks again to our generous co-sponsor, Christine Tabaka. For Sweetycat Press, I'm Wendy Vogel. Thanks for watching.